tonight, our state's vaccine rollout is moving as quickly as possible, but still too slow for most. The governor says there is one thing missing.
We need more vaccine, we need more vaccine, we need more vaccine.
We're less than 24 hours from the transfer of power. Security in Washington is tighter than ever to prevent a repeat of January 6th.
If we see something, we're going to go ahead and report it.
And President-elect Biden gets emotional as he prepares to take the oath of office.
Excuse the emotion.
First tonight, another Coloradan is charged for storming the Capitol building after posting pictures of himself.
A judge allowed Patrick Montgomery to walk free on bond this afternoon. He'll be back in court February 2nd. He is not allowed to travel or go near government buildings.
Court documents claim Montgomery posted most of the evidence on his own Facebook page. One photo appears to show Montgomery inside the Senate chamber. Others show Montgomery posing with a large crowd outside the Capitol. And in one comment, Montgomery wrote, "We stormed the Senate and opened the chamber door for transparency." He is the third Coloradan arrested in this incident.
Because of possible protests surrounding the inauguration, Denver Mayor Michael Hancock is closing most city buildings for the next 2 days. There have been extra security measures taken at the state Capitol building, and members of the Colorado National Guard are in Washington tonight. More than 25,000 Guard members from all across the country were called in to serve as security for Biden's inauguration tomorrow.
But you don't really care for music, do you?
And President-elect Biden touched down in Washington a couple of hours ago, and his first stop was here at the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool.
400 lights were illuminated to honor the 400,000 U.S. lives now lost to the coronavirus. President-elect Biden called for a nationwide moment of healing, paying tribute to the victims. And he also says to say thank you to the frontline workers who have fought this virus for nearly a year.
And in what is likely his final presidential address, President Trump called on Americans to pray for the Biden administration. He did this a couple of hours ago.
The president also condemned the Capitol riots.
All Americans were horrified by the assault on our Capitol. Political violence is an attack on everything we cherish as Americans. It can never be tolerated. Now more than ever, we must unify around our shared values and rise above the partisan rancor and forge our common destiny.
The president says he is skipping Biden's inauguration ceremony tomorrow. President-elect Biden said it is one of the only things the two men have agreed on. Now, we will have a new president by this time tomorrow night. Law enforcement leaders insist the transition will be safe and smooth. Of course, tensions are high.
Alex Prochet is in Washington with the latest. Alex?
Hey, Ann and Shannon. So the acting attorney general has reiterated that tomorrow there will be a peaceful transfer of power, warning that the DOJ won't tolerate anyone who tries to mar the day with violence.
An emotional Joe Biden thanking his supporters in Delaware before heading to Washington, D.C. this afternoon. It's the last time he'll leave his home in Wilmington as president-elect.
Excuse the emotion, but when I die, Delaware will be written on my heart.
But less than 24 hours before his inauguration, security experts' biggest fears are now coming true. A defense official confirms their vetting found 2 Army National Guard members assigned to Joe Biden's inauguration have ties to far-right groups. Both have been removed from inauguration security and are now under investigation. 10 more National Guard members also taken off the line for other reasons.
These are vetting efforts that identify any questionable behavior in the past or any potential link to questionable behavior not just related to extremism.
Before that news, a law enforcement bulletin raised concerns that right-wing extremists might try to pose as law enforcement and military to infiltrate security at the event. Washington, D.C. is already on high alert after the January 6th siege of the Capitol. 21,500 armed National Guard now on duty, razor wire, barricades, and checkpoints everywhere. And this afternoon, President Trump releasing a video of his farewell address.
This week, we inaugurate a new administration and pray for its success in keeping America safe and prosperous.
Today, in what could be his last floor speech as Majority Leader, Senator Mitch McConnell placed blame for the attack on President Trump.
The mob was fed lies. They were provoked by the president and other powerful people.
Well, and notably absent from tomorrow's inauguration will be the Trumps. The president is avoiding it, instead holding his own send-off at Joint Base Andrews. But neither he nor the First Lady Melania have invited the Bidens to the White House before the inauguration, which was a courtesy extended to the Trumps from the Obamas. On Capitol Hill, Alex Brachet, Denver7.
All right, Alex, thank you. Opening arguments in a second impeachment trial could start next week. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is expected to send the article of impeachment to the Senate later this week. All 50 Democrats plus 17 Republicans are needed to convict. A conviction could prevent President Trump from ever holding office again.
As we continue fighting the spread of coronavirus, one major number is moving in the right direction. Our 7-day positivity rate is at 5.52%. It was above 10% during the worst stretches of the pandemic. State leaders have often said restrictions will be lifted once the positivity rate is below 5%.
The vaccine effort is slow but steady. 8,500 people got their first dose today, and at the current pace, it's going to be more than a month before the over 70 population is vaccinated.
Denver7's Liz Gilardi asked the governor about the vaccine rollout today, and Liz, he said we just need more of it.
Absolutely. And despite pleas for more vaccines, Governor Jared Polis says the state will hit a milestone this week. He did express frustration at the vaccine supply, and he knows Coloradans are frustrated too.
We're in a race against the virus, a race against time. Every dose counts, and there is no time to waste.
Vaccine distribution is ramping up. Governor Jared Polis ordered hospitals to use second doses of the COVID-19 vaccine right away. That means an additional 40,000 people aged 70 and up will get their first dose earlier than expected.
I mean, it is frustrating how slow we are receiving vaccine for any group.
By the end of the week, 1 in 5 Coloradans aged 70 and up are on track to receive their first dose of the vaccine. The governor says although it's promising, he knows people are frustrated.
A lot of the problems and frustrations that we hear would be gone if the state received 3 or 4 times the amount of vaccine, because we'd be able to essentially get to everybody over age 70 who wanted it this week.
Governor Polis says vaccine distribution will only get better with time, and his office is working on ways to make sure it's equitable. This despite newly obtained numbers showing a significant disparity in vaccine distribution for Black and Latino Coloradans.
And we look forward to partnering with community-based organizations to make sure that we can have stand-up clinics in areas that are hard to serve. That's why we also work in the San Luis Valley in some of the very lowest income zip codes in our entire state.
And the governor was also asked when the state might expand the current age group to 65 years old and up. He said at this point, it's really hard to say. And again, that goes back to supply because the state doesn't even know how much vaccine they will be receiving next week, let alone in the coming weeks. Reporting live, Liz Gilardi, Denver7.
Yeah, we definitely need more. All right, Liz, thank you. And we know many of you are just frustrated by the technology side of things. The governor said today the best thing you can do is get signed up for a couple of vaccine distribution lists, and they will call or email you when it's ready. You do not have to worry about constantly checking. And by the way, we have set up a page with answers to most of your vaccine questions. Just visit thedenverchannel.com/vaccines.
It's a bit chilly out there right now, but a big warm-up on the way for Wednesday.
Plus, we'll explain one way our roads have gotten more dangerous in the last decade.
And while many students are excited about the return to the classroom, one group says it's happening too fast.
Hopefully, the governor steps in